my own perception of how he carried himself, but he wasn't a kind of outgoing character. He was quite a quiet guy. You know what I mean? He didn't really. He wasn't much of a character in the role as Celtic manager, and I think you need that. One way or another, you need something there.
But see, this is my whole take on this. Is the reason he got the job is Celtic were trying to get our version of Graham Souness.
Aye, totally, 100%.
It was
totally
nothing more than that. If they can do it with a first-time manager, so can we.
Aye.
And who was a better player? Was it? Most people will perceive that probably Brady was a better player than Souness, but I don't necessarily agree with that. But so it was basically a case of, well, if they can do it, we'll do our version. It worked for them, so it'll definitely work for us. So unfortunately, it didn't. But here's the one thing, and this has forever bothered me, and it does my nut in when I hear this now. He was the first person I ever heard to use the term "get bums on seats." Now, I remember bums
Stuart
back
Slater.
then.
Was it Stuart Slater?
Exactly. Now, to me, bums are drunks. I think of this whole American thing from TV back then, and when you say bums on seats, what annoyed me was, is he trying to say that it's all going to be drunks in the stand?
Right.
And it bugs me even to this day when I hear that term. So anyway,
let's face it, there was a lot of drunk bums in the jungle.
Not on seats though.
No, we were standing having a good sing-song. Singing at Archie McPherson walking across the commentary gantry.
Well, that's alright. We used to stand, me and my mates used to stand pretty much just underneath the gantry to the left-hand side, almost every game. So,
yeah. Right at the back part? Right at the back?
Not at the back, no, almost right underneath the gantry. Almost right underneath it.
We were right at the back. We were right at the back to the left of the gantry.
So you were one of the swines pushing us whenever we scored?
No, I never did any of that, carry on.
Sure,
never did any of that.
You're the one pissing against the wall and all that sort of stuff, and pissing on people's legs and...
Loved all the singing. No, none of that.
I was handing out rosary beads so we could all say a rosary and stuff. It was lovely. All right, next one, boys. Carey.
Luigi Macari. Oh, bloody hell, man. I'm going to say indifferent. I wouldn't boo him, but that was a horrible, horrible time while he was in charge there, just because his whole attitude, his whole philosophy of the way he played football, and he really, really got us playing some horrific stuff, Wimbledon style.
Can I ask you then, if we split it from Luigi Macari, the player, if he hadn't been the player, so he literally just on his managerial stuff.
Just on his managerial stuff, well, it would be booed then.
That's what I was thinking.
But yeah, I was looking at the whole package.
Probably indifferent for me. Don't really care.
Mm-hmm.
I just remember how bad we were then. That's my thing.
I don't necessarily put it all down to him. I think it was just the time we were going through. So I'm not saying he was a great manager, I'm not saying he was a bad manager, but it just indifferent for me. I don't really care.
Well, see, there's a slight comparison here, because at the time the board obviously weren't wanting to spend money, and Macari, wherever he'd been, he was relatively successful on a zero budget. Basically, he just managed to get the best out of the crappy players that he managed, and I think they decided, right, let's get him in, see if he can do something similar with Celtic, with real dross, or we're not going to spend much money on players, but he might get the best out of some crappy, averagey players. And in some respects, you could say there's a bit of a comparison with what's happening now with the current Celtic board bringing in Ronnie Dyler, who has proven that he can do stuff on a shoestring budget by winning the league with Strom's Godset and then coming to us. So there are some similarities there, but whatever anybody thinks about Ronnie Dyler right now, I still think I'd much rather have a Ronnie Dyler in charge than a Luigi Macari.
Look, I would also kind of say, I think a lot of time, I think in hindsight's a wonderful thing on this. I remember Macari signing and being like, "This is all right." He had done well down south and everything. He was he was a Celtic man type thing. Like I think we go through some of the players, and there's a lot of heroes in hindsight are going, "No, we knew that wasn't going to work." I remember being excited with him signing, and then just the dross, and I'm not, and like there was a whole thing with him and Fergus falling out and him not being up at the ground a lot and stuff. And I think that's where I would come close to. from a managerial point of view, I'd boo him because I don't think his heart was totally in it, sort of thing, and I don't think so. That's probably where I come from on that. But I still remember him having done well down south. I think he was at Swindon, and there was a few other teams and stuff. So yeah.
Very unfashionable teams. The other thing, again, that made me kind of indifferent with Lou Macari is because I think latterly, for me, he was more of a Man U person than a Celtic person.
Aye.
If that makes sense as well.
Yeah.
He would always, you'd see him he'd be on MU TV and stuff like that, and you'd sometimes see him on some of these other programmes. He'd be on as a summariser to the commentator or something, and sometimes he'd be kind of looking down his nose at Scottish football and at Celtic, and it wasn't quite Man U, you know what I mean, that kind of thing.
Aye.
So that's another wee reason why he loses brownie points for me.
All right, well, we'll move on, and God rest his soul, Tommy Burns. To me,
jeez, man,
cheered from take the roof off the stand. We cheered.
Absolutely. Out of everybody that's been mentioned so far, and I think obviously because of the tragic circumstances with Tommy as well, that obviously means a lot. And it can influence the way it would be just now if we could bring him back. But bloody hell, yeah, take the roof off.
Kev, do you think also, eventually he did not? I think I was going to say I think he got sacked by Celtic or he walked away. I don't know that, and I don't want to jump into some of the other websites, but the football he played was wonderful, and
yes.
so it's not like, I'll be honest, when we're talking about the dross under Macari. Yeah. The wonderful football. If you're going to get beat with the three amigos in your squad, and
it was superb.
Doing that. So it's not on top of, and and part of this, as I said, was thinking as it is. And look, I think Tommy Burns again. It's almost the opposite to Lou Macari. Is if you look at, even if you take out. I'm coming back to is under with Lennon and the tragic circumstances. Even if you just look at his managerial, I think I'm looking up Wikipedia here, the 146 games or whatever. It was wonderful, 146, and Jesus, we do everything to beat them and then get beat with a last minute penalty or whatever. But on that, I would cheer him just on his managerial stuff because. Jesus, it was wonderful to watch and everything.
It was. It was first class. It was first class. And again, any other period in Scottish football, actually, we'd have been winning the league at that time under Tommy. It's just because, as we know, former Rangers, they were cheating their way, as we didn't know at the time, but we know now, all right. They were cheating their way through all that stuff there, playing outside their means and all the rest of it. So. That was frustrating, but you're right. We were trying everything, but Andy Gorham was the scourge of us at the time, I think. Let's not forget they had some brilliant players as well at the time. But as you mentioned, the three amigos were absolutely outstanding. Man, I loved them.
So this is on the subject of Tommy Burns. I don't know if this is just me, but see, whenever now I watch any Celtic DVDs and stuff, and Tommy Burns is on it. I'm almost crying every time I see it. I just feel really, really sad. I still haven't seen the end of the Tommy Burns story. I just, I end up, you don't really sort of cry in front of your kids. My kids think, an adult crying is hilarious, and I just will not give into that. So
especially a Pat Close crying, that's very hilarious.
And it's just, but honestly, whenever I watch Tommy Burns videos, I just feel like crying. I don't know, obviously just me, but. It's just sad. I know my mother just loved the guy, absolutely loved him. That's because he went to Marsha, and I think that's probably why she liked him. But yeah, I don't know. I just feel the world's is worse off place for him not being here. But anyway, I'm even almost welling up talking about it. So
no, but Pat, I was going to ask, and I think I started properly going to see Celtic sort of 86, 87, and I didn't realise how good a player he was at the time. And see, sort of when it really occurred to me was, and it was in about 2000, we played Rangers, God bless their soul for their death. We played Rangers, and it was a charity game, and it was, and they totally packed the squad with just literally ex-players, but guys that had literally just retired, and we had McAvenny, and I remember McAvenny, they were asking about training, and he said he was shagging his bird twice a day, so he tried and get fit and stuff. but Tommy Burns played in the game and just outshone everybody. Now, that was, well, geez, that was. I'm certain it was about 2000 because I was back in the UK at the time. So he would have been retired. Well, he left Celtic in '97, so and that's and he just bossed the game. He just ran it from midfield. It was just, you just knew he was head and shoulders. And I'll be honest, as I said, the old Rangers had a truckload of decent newly retired players still in the squad. I think Ali might have played in that game, and that's when you suddenly went, he's head and shoulders above anybody else in this field. And when I was going in, 86 through to 90, that was my absolute bang. Every game, never missing a game in that. I never realised how good he was till then.
I think the issue back then, Martin, was that there was a team full of heroes.
Aye.
If it wasn't Burns, it was McStay. It wasn't McStay, it was McLeod. It wasn't McLeod, it was McClare or Johnston or Roy Aitken. The team was full of heroes. So you could, if he's in the team these days, he'd be probably the main star in the team.
Yeah.
The problem, not a problem, but the issue back then is we had a full squad of them.
Yeah.
For the goalkeepers, there was few players back in. I guess you get kind of you romanticise sort of the teams that you saw back then, and maybe they weren't as good as as we thought they were, but. I'm talking even guys left back, Mark Reed. Nobody even remembers Mark Reed. I thought he was a brilliant player. With Danny McGrain at right back.
Danny McGrain,
So they had a team full of just amazing players. And I reckon that's why, I'm not saying, like Davy Provan. Davy Provan was one of my favourite players for a long time. Charlie Nick was coming through, and a season of Danny Craney.
George McCluskey.
George McCluskey, these guys played in the first game I ever went to. These were the sort of the players that were playing back then. So Tommy Burns was just another player in those teams, unfortunately. McStay was just a genius, an absolute flipping genius. So when you're playing a team with him, you're going to be overshadowed a little bit when you've got a player of that calibre playing next to you. So, but I kind of I forget what story it was. One of the whoever played left back at that stage was talking about him, and it was they always complained that he was so lazy, he would never ever defend. I can't remember who it was. It might have been Danny McGrain. I can't quite remember, but I think maybe on the Tommy Burns story, and it's exactly that sort of stuff about everyone says how good he was. He was great going forward, but the swine never chased back. We left it for us to do. We had to do double the work to do because he never tracked his man back. So, but yeah, anyway, that's my take on it. I think he was a great player and just in a great era for us. There were so many. Frank McGarvey, Christ, the list could go on. The list could go on,
All right, next one then, Wim Jansen.
Oh, I cheer Wim.
Right.
Without a doubt. It was sad. He was only there for the one season pretty much, and then it all went pear-shaped, and no sooner were we celebrating, stopping them getting 10 in a row, and we're celebrating our own championship, and then you were finding out he was Ofsky. So that was disappointing, but I think he'll always be revered, I think, with him for that. For being the manager that stopped that, and the football he had this playing. Remember, he always went on about sticking to the system, and that was the thing he did. But all the players responded to it, and that was a great season under wee Curly Mop. Cheer.
I was going to say, look, I think again, if it was just the football, then I think it would be, but. He stopped at 10, and he stopped at 10, and he signed as Larson. Jesus Christ, that's there's two cheers there, no matter what. And look, I think he did it. And what's funny is I don't think he's ever managed since, which I'm surprised he didn't pop up somewhere. But I certainly would cheer Pat.
Cheer anybody who stops 10 in a row.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter who it was back then. It was.
And guys, he also gave us the rhyming slang for going to the Wim Jansen. Are you going to the Wim Jansen tonight?
Oh, I'd never.
The dancing. Oh, the dancing. Are you going to the dancing?
No,
you going to the Wim Jansen? You never hear that?
Is that a Coatbridge thing?
Definitely, it was prevalent in Coatbridge.
Aye.
You going to the Wim Jansen tonight? Maybe well.
All right then. Well, next one then, Dr. Joe.
Oh, lovable old Joe. Yes, I would cheer Joe Benglos, definitely.
Pat?
Yeah, I guess so. We got his Moravchik, didn't he? Beat the Huns 5-1.